On the Air, episode 128.
Well, live from the Loft 100 Studios in sunny San Diego, California. On the Air is on the air. Little Tommy there, I'm Sully here. That's the Sully Band up there. Great to have you guys along. We are small, but we are mighty this week. Yeah. Peace, man.
Peace.
Okay, that's how you do it. Ready?
Sure. There you go. Give it up for the Sully Band. The Sully Band. And once again, give it up for our live studio audience.
Wow,
Give it up for the people in the balcony. Yeah.
I see here that you put together a heck of a show this week.
Yes.
I'm looking at our guests, some for the first time. Do you just want to bring them out? Because
Let's do it.
Can I ask you before we start here? I just had a couple emails that we got in here. Does Tommy know anything other than lame classic rock music?
Wow. Classic rock music is the best.
So
Classic rock, Foghat, the Stones, Beatles.
that's not classic rock anymore.
Yeah, it is.
Duran Duran is not classic rock. Oingo Boingo is not classic rock.
What's classic
Flock
rock?
of Seagulls is not classic rock.
What's classic rock?
I just told you. That's what it is now. Will you ever sing anything from the 80s or will it only be the early, lame 70s? I'm just reading the email here.
Well, I can do the 70s.
I'm just going through.
I can do a soul song.
Okay. Describe soul song for me. And you can't say
Something
soul.
with-
You can't say soul man.
Something with horns, great bass and guitar and drums,
Oh, you mean
and
R&B?
keyboards.
Oh, you mean R&B?
Like the Sully Band.
Will you do a song today for us? Who wants to hear him do a song today?
I'll do a song like for 60 seconds later on in the show, and it won't be classic rock, although it's a mistake.
James, will it be classic rock? Yeah, it'll be classic rock. All right, let's get going.
Let's
here.
bring out our first guest. Ladies and gentlemen, the most successful mascot in American history, Ted Gianolis, better known as the San Diego Chicken.
Come on. Wow. Can you believe it?
Have a seat.
Is this number 4 for you? I think it's number 4 for you.
Well, he was one of our very first guests.
I think maybe 4, number 5 for you here as appearances, don't you think?
But more importantly, it's the year 2023, and it all started 49 years ago.
49 years ago, fellas, yes.
Give it
Thanks
up.
for having me back.
So great to have you. Ted, didn't this start as you being unemployed and you just taking a dare or taking a job from SDSU or something like that?
Yes, actually, yeah, I was a student at San Diego State University. It was the day before Easter break, spring break as we call it now, back in 1974. And I was literally walking off the campus, which was virtually deserted because all the students had gone home, for the most part. And so I decided, well, it's 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm just going to go and hang out at the campus radio station, KCR,
Right.
where I had some menial jobs anyway. And it's a student-run operation. So I'm just going to go and hang out and shoot the breeze there for a few minutes before I head home. Got nothing to do for the spring break. So I walk into this small studio, basically the size of a walk-in closet, And,
I remember KCR. It was about that size.
Yeah.
It was the size of a restroom, maybe.
Right. And I'm there with about 4 or 5 others I'm there all of 90 seconds when in walks someone from KGB radio.
Wow.
And he stands in the doorway, and he was a former alumni himself of the radio station. And right there on the spot, he offers work to anyone who would do it. And we all volunteered, not knowing what the detail was. And he cautioned everybody, you're not going on the air. And we figured, okay, if it's shining records, emptying trash cans, sweeping the parking lot, anything to get our foot in the door. So he cautions everyone to say, you got to wear a chicken suit, you got to go to the zoo, You're going to give away Easter eggs, candy Easter eggs, and we're only paying $2 an hour. It's just for 10 days. And so we still volunteered.
Sure.
And he's got to choose someone. So he quickly scans the room, sees me in the corner, and he says, "You, the short guy, you'll fit the costume. We'll start tomorrow."
And that was
Wow. And now you're in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yes, yes, yes.
I mean, you're in iconic highlight reels. I mean, the Holy Roller.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've done a lot of sports events. I've been to all 50 states. I've been to 8 countries around the world, and it's been really quite an adventure. And I enjoyed it. I've performed live in front of more than 70 million people.
Oh, my goodness.
If you count the attendances and box scores. I've been Grand Marshal of the Mardi Gras Parade in New Orleans. I've performed at the White House at the very first T-ball game back in 2001.
Did I hear you perform in front of Elvis? Didn't you tell us an Elvis story?
Oh, man. One of my favorites of all time. An Elvis story. Because, you know, when I worked at KGB as an ambassador for them at large, I was there for 5 years. And one
So
of the
much for the 10 days, $2 an hour.
Yeah, it was minimum wage all the way through until the very end. But I got to tell you, one of my details was to go to all the concerts. I was an ambassador at large. I did concerts and trade shows,
seen you.
parades, sports events. So
Because back then you were called the KGB chicken, I remember.
Right.
It wasn't the San Diego chicken, it was a KGB.
People loved, many KGB fans loved to see you at concerts and give you bottled water.
Oh, yeah, bottled water. Yes, a lot of beer. Back then, you could actually bring your own beer and beverages into the parks and concerts and such. But on this particular night, Elvis, in 1976, April of 76, about 15, 16 months before he passed, he was given a concert. And security warned me, the sports arena security warned me, Elvis is royalty, no goofing off tonight. And I said, okay, yeah. And they made me sit in my seat, which was up in the loge section. But then Elvis breaks into a song by Jerry Lee Lewis called A Whole Lot of Shakin' Going On. And I figured, that's my cue. That's my song. Because in the middle, there's lyrics. We got chicken in the barn. Whose barn? My barn.
That's right.
I said, that's my calling. So I leave my seat. I go down in the dark, down the aisle. I go onto the floor, which was reserved seating. And then I dance all the way up in the aisle, right up to the stage, under the stage. And while Elvis is singing, I'm dancing back and forth in front of the stage under him. Elvis sees this, and he starts cracking up. And for real, it wasn't a put-on cracking up. He starts laughing so hard, he doubles over on the stage from laughter. And at that point, the band started playing quietly. They thought, Elvis is having a seizure right here in front of 10,000 people at the sports arena. Get this. His doctor, the famous Dr. Nick, runs out onto the stage with his little black bag. And as Elvis is kneeling on one knee on the stage, he opens up his black bag, whips out his stethoscope, puts it on, attempts to get Elvis to lay down. I'm still dancing, but I'm not hearing any lyrics. And I peek up there, and I see what's going on. And Elvis keeps looking at me, and he's laughing so hard, he has tears in his eyes. I could see it from, the lights. You could see the reflection. He's laughing that hard. Elvis shakes off his doctor. He said, I'm okay. And he points to me down there, and you could see the doctor just kind of swear to himself, puts away his stethoscope, throws it in the bag, leaves. Elvis guy gets up, he turns to the band, signals, keep going, and he finishes the song. Then, when the number's all done, he apologizes to the audience for laughing, for flubbing up and laughing at the lyrics. Sure. And he said, I don't know if you all can see, but you got to believe me. There's a chicken dancing up and down here. And the audience goes, yes, Elvis, we know, yeah, we know. And then, bless his heart, Elvis comes up with the perfect line. He says, I don't know who put the chicken up to this, but I want to warn him, My manager's name is the Colonel.
Boom.
Greatest story ever told.
Wow.
The greatest story ever told. Wow.
I just want to know one thing before we continue. How did it go from 10 days, $2 an hour, to 5 years without stopping and beyond?
Well, Sully, that is a very good question, because what happened after my 10-day stint, Padres were having opening day, and I figured to myself, you know, I'll bet I could get into opening day for free with this getup.
And you did.
So I went to management. I said, will you let me stay on if I go to the Padre game? I mean, you had me go to the zoo to give away candy Easter eggs. Imagine how many people will see me walking around with the KGB call letters on me at a Padre game. And they said to me, okay, if they'll let you in, you can go. We're still paying you just $2 an hour. That's it. I said, no problem, no problem. So I called up the Padres. They let me come down, bless their hearts. And they were open to anything back then because they weren't drawing many fans.
Sure.
So being a last place team, I went down there. I goofed around in the stands. The fans had fun with it. The media even mentioned it briefly. And the station went nuts.
Yeah.
And then they asked me to continue going. And you know what we discovered, Sully?
Money.
No. Money for the station, and not for this college student at the time. But we discovered we had backed into maybe the first instance of what's today called guerrilla marketing.
Yeah, sure.
That's where you take a product or a brand and you put it in an unorthodox location for brand awareness. And being at a game was unheard of for a mascot, a commercial mascot is what I was. And slowly but surely, the ratings at KGB rose from worst to first. And the only thing...
KGB chicken. Come on.
That's good. All right. Well, let's
By the way,
bring out...
just so I can tell you what the geek I am, the book Guerrilla Marketing was written by Bruce Blackman. Wrote it cover to cover. I read it cover to cover like 6 times. You're absolutely right. I'm still a geek about that.
Let's bring out the next guest. Ladies and gentlemen, get on your feet. The queen of ballroom dancing. Originally from the state of Ohio, Mary Murphy.
Look at her. Look at her go. What's up, sister? Good to see you. Wow. Royalty again.
Mary.
The inevitable laugh. And I'm glad we get to see you dance. I never get to see you dance in public.
Well, I don't see myself dancing any longer.
Fantastic. You always sit behind a desk.
I leave it all to the young kids today.
Well, you do great.
I love watching amazing dance.
But you're also coaching dancing. Also.
Yeah, sure.
That's a big deal. In fact, one of our very close friends, in fact, we've had her on the program, Marty Gillen-Stubbs. Her mother, Maxine, but Marty is the #1 real estate agent in the country, along with her mother. Her mom, who I think is staring down the barrel like 70 or something like that. I don't know how old she is, but she is a champion ballroom dancer because of you.
85.
Wow, wow.
And dancing up a storm. At least three sessions a day, 5 days a week.
My goodness.
Goes around the country and competes.
And,
So how did it
and you're
all
the
start
coach.
for you?
Well, it's a long story, but I'm from a cow town in Ohio, Canal Fulton, and it wasn't until later in life when I went to college at Ohio University and I have a PE degree. I was totally...
Weren't you like a track star?
I wanted to be a track star, I wanted to be, and ended up getting married and I changed course, but I started modern dance, jazz, and ballet in college. And then moved to Washington, D.C., and that's the first time I walked into a ballroom dance studio. Still wasn't very excited about it. There wasn't any really high-level pros there. And they could see that I was going to quit. So they said, you need to see something. We're going to take you to the United States Ballroom Championships in New York, and you got to see this. So I did. I was excited. I'd never been to the big city before. Not like New York.
Sure.
And it was like a movie. I walked in, 10 steps inside the ballroom. It was like I saw 25 couples swooping and swaying across the floor with hair, makeup, everything I was not. Up until that point, I might as well have been a boy. I never wore any makeup. I hardly ever wanted to wear shoes. I had sweatpants and T-shirts my whole young adult life.
Wow.
And some people call it the Cinderella effect. I got hit, and I looked up at the people that brought me, and I said, I'm going to be a professional ballroom dancer, and I'm going to be the United States champion. And they just started laughing, and they looked down at me, and they said, we were only hoping you'd stay in our studio, for God's sakes, you know? What are you talking about?
And look what happened.
And
How long did
the
it take?
beginning. Well, it took a really long time. I wasn't the most talented tool in the shed. But I think probably towards the end, they were like, I was actually Austrian national champion. I used to dance in Europe with an Austrian partner. But that wasn't what I said all those years ago. Yeah. I'm very patriotic, and I remember distinctly saying I wanted to be the United States champion. So I got the ultimatum when I was in Europe that if I didn't move for good, that the partnership was going to end and he was going to dance with an English girl. And at that time, the English were probably the highest level dancers in the world at that time. And I had a studio here in San Diego. And the weather in San Diego, compared to London, which I was there during the worst winter of a century, and made the decision that, you know, okay, I'm not going to be world champion. If I stay, I'll have a shot at it. Yeah. But if I leave, I won't. And so I came back here, and I started dancing with an American, and 4 years later, I was the United States champion.
Come on.
That's right.
Come on.
Hallelujah.
And then,
I retired the next day.
So you're
that's all I said. I said that's all I wanted to be was the United States champion. Now I got to make some money out of this.
And so you're already famous, and then you get on television as a judge. Did it just skyrocket for you?
Yeah, it really did. After the first season of So You Think You Can Dance, I mean, they greenlit that show so quickly that even the producers, everybody was running around the set. I thought I was the only one that didn't know what was going on. I was like, do you know what's going on? No. Do you know what's going on? No. And everybody was scrambling to come up with the format of the show, and we were all on weekly contracts. So every week, we would sit there, and we were the initial 5 choreographers and judges, and we would sit there like, are we on this week? Are we on this week? Pick me. You know?
So the chicken made $2 an hour. What did you make an hour?
Can we talk? No.
Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, listen, I started at Cedar Point at under $2 an hour picking up cigarette butts. That was the start of my career.
Well, coming up,
you landed.
Coming up after the break. Coming up after the break, we have 2 more guests to bring out. 2 more guests.
Well, can you believe we got Mary Murphy and the chicken? Come on.
Doesn't get any better than that.
More to come. On the air is on the air. Stand by. Hey, like that. Wow. 2 legends off the bat. Come on. 2 San Diego legends. Make $4 an hour between them. On the air. Who's on the air? All right, Tommy.
All right, let's bring out our next guest.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the #1 morning radio show in San Diego, from Rock 105.3 The Show, the leader of the band, Eddie Pappani.
Number 12. Wow.
Now, I had a whole dancing team planned, Michael Jackson, but Mary's here, kind of thought it would be too much. I didn't want to show off, you know. So.
Save it for the next show.
Yeah, I didn't want to moonwalk all the way out here.
You think I'd be judgmental?
I did, you know, I was a little worried, you know, a little harsh.
12th time on the air?
12th time.
When he hits the 15, we had something. He's got a robe already.
Ooh.
So it's got to be a 15, like a 15 or 20.
Pajamas, the whole look?
Yeah.
No, too much.
And you got a couple of P1s. Give it up for your P1s over here.
Those are our listeners.
And speaking of, you know, being the #1 morning radio show in San Diego, you're the leader of the show on Rock 105.3, and you've been on for several years. I've listened and watched you as a father, raising your kids, Little League and everything. But don't you now have a high schooler?
What?
I don't know what happened. I mean, you have these little kids, you know, they're so great, so precious, and they grow up. It's the weirdest thing. And my 14-year-old daughter is now a freshman in high school.
Wow.
And it's wild. It's been the weirdest experience.
I remember when
ever.
you were in high school.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it was like yesterday. But yeah, it's been interesting, man. You know, first of all, seeing like a lot of her teachers are listeners of mine.
That's weird.
Which is like,
That's weird.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Not sure it's a good thing.
You know, and then
Although they
we
give
have
your
our
kid a hall
first.
pass.
We have our first big school dance coming up.
Uh-oh.
And you know, you get a homecoming dance. My daughter is pretty conservative, really good kid, and she wanted to show me her big dress. And I'm thinking, you know, I don't know what they look like anymore. These
As a
school
freshman?
dances. As a freshman.
Really?
And you know, are they still big ball gowns? I don't know. I mean, I don't know
I
what
don't
to
think
expect.
so.
They aren't, Mary. She came walking
tell you,
out,
Daddy.
and I went, "Where's the rest of it? I don't understand. That's not in public. We're wearing that. I didn't know what to do. But she's like, Dad, this is what everybody wears, and I'm like, oh, okay, great.
Don't they go in groups now? They don't go one-on-one, right? They're not dating.
Not really, you know, especially if you have a freshman.
Yeah.
They're not really. They're gonna go as a friend group, but.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just too much skin. I don't know. I can't handle it. It's
I
too
would
much.
just say no.
Yeah, I kind of am. Like,
Could Rock 105? Was there a time when Rock 105 could have used a Rock 105 chicken?
that would have been nice, you know. I mean, KGB's down the hall, but we would love to have, you know, a chicken or a rooster or
Do
something.
you guys have a mascot other than the buzz
Thor,
saw?
you know, Thor on our show. He's not the best mascot by any means, but
You know, the San Diego Chicken is kind of a free agent right now. If you can pay
Is that
more,
right?
If you can pay more than $2 an hour, I think you could be the Rock 105.3.
our budget's
50% more.
Our budget's a little.
50% more.
I mean, we had to have Sully buy us a refrigerator, so I mean,
Well, I just got sick of hearing you whine about it.
it was bad. It was bad for a while.
The show, how many years in its existing form? All four of you?
Existing form, this will be coming up our 14th year. And for Sky and I on the show, we've been at Rock 105.3. This will be our 20th year.
My goodness, good for
20
you.
years, man.
Fantastic.
That's hard.
It is.
Well, it is because, listen, we've all worked for
You guys know
that
radio,
organization.
and it doesn't happen very often.
Right.
You know, where one show stays in place that long. And 20 years, man, it's a
incredible.
blink of an eye. It's crazy.
Are you? Would you change a thing in terms of going forward?
Salary. About it.
But is management good to
No.
you? Is that, P1s are good to you? The whole thing?
We do pretty well in
Yeah.
the market, so they kind of leave us to our own doings, which is nice.
Yeah.
You know, but every once in a while we're like, hey, does anybody know we're here? Like, you know, I mean,
No
check
manage-
in
no-
on us every once in a
no
while.
managers walking downstairs.
No, we haven't got called in the office in a very long time, so that's kind of nice.
In radio, there's a thing called a sound check, or air check, I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Sound check is complete. Air check means that you have to sit there painfully, nervously in your chair while the program director takes a cassette tape,
This is a long time ago,
Yeah.
clearly.
puts it in the cassette tape player, and says, let's listen to how many times you say, Sully. Hits it, and he'll start counting off ums or
Yeah.
counting off how badly you rejoined or whatever. How long has it been since you had a sound or air check?
I haven't been air checked in a very long time, thankfully. But I remember those days, and they were painful, where they'd listen to something you'd say, pause it, and go, why didn't you say such and such here? I didn't think of it. I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry.
Do you ever get air checked? Ever? With Jeff and Jerry?
No.
No,
Not even one.
Come on, those guys were untouchable.
See,
never
talk
did.
radio, you get air checked literally once a
Really?
week.
But I just want to say how proud you should feel because when you came to San Diego, I don't know what station you started at, maybe KCBQ.
I did.
But
Same
you ended up
frequency, 105.
you ended up like as an assistant at Star 100.7.
Yeah.
And probably then is when you got air checked. But now you're at Rock 105.3,
Yeah.
and if it's, I think they just simply leave you alone to do your show.
It is nice.
Yeah.
It is nice. I heard the other day, and it was honestly the ultimate compliment. And we've gone through the variations of the pretty big morning shows in San Diego, and it literally did start with Tommy and Jeff and Jer, and then it kind of went to. You can give it up to Tommy. You can give it up. Hey, he's in the Radio Hall of Fame. Just ask him, he'll tell you. And then it sort of went on to DSC, which they're amazing. And somebody the other day said, you guys know, you realize you're the next one.
You
guys
are.
It.
You are.
And I never think of it like that, and I'm like,
I do.
wow, that's really cool. Yeah, often.
But you should be very
It
proud.
is nice. It is nice
That
to
is
think.
cool.
I would, to have
Until they give us our gig back on the
an inkling of their success, that would be great.
You have some great success. Now
you,
let's
Tommy.
bring out the next guest. She is
The board member over at Tunnel to Towers. She's the CEO and founder of Scout. Ladies and gentlemen, Jennifer Brekke.
ladies and gentlemen, Jennifer Brekke. She's the best. And Jennifer, I have a lot of respect for you, and there's a reason why I have you here is because I do have a lot of respect for you when I see you on KUSI and talking about things. You're a board member at Tunnel to Towers, and tell us about that.
Well, thanks for having me on when you do. I really appreciate it. So Tunnel to Towers is this foundation that was born out of the tragedy at 9/11. So Stephen Siller was a firefighter in New York City. The day of 9/11, he heard about the first plane going into the towers. He was off duty. He was going to play golf with his brothers. So he went to the station, picked up his gear, went to the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. It was already closed. So he strapped on 60 pounds of gear and ran through the tunnel to the South Tower, where he lost his life trying to save others. So he was the youngest of 7 siblings. He had 6 siblings, the youngest of 7. And his brothers and sisters started this foundation, not only just to honor Stephen and his heroism, but everybody in 9/11 that day, but then also the heroes that continue every day to protect our communities, our country. And so this foundation, named Tunnel to Towers, we retrace the footsteps of Stephen in a big annual road race every year in New York City, run through the tunnel. 30,000 people, U.S. flags everywhere, chanting awesome. USA. Firefighters from all over the country come, police officers, military. It's incredible, but it's really not just to honor everybody who passed away that day, but also the heroes every day in our lives. So it's pretty incredible.
What I love about what you guys do is you pay off what? What do you do?
So if you think of today's heroes, people who have either lost their life in the line of duty or if they are catastrophically injured veterans, those remaining families or those injured veterans, the biggest burden they have in a lot of ways is where they're going to live in their home. So we pay off the mortgages of the surviving families with children if the spouse has lost their life in the line of duty. And then we will build custom smart homes for catastrophically injured veterans. So these families who have children, these widows, they get to stay in their homes, in their community, with with their support system. So it's pretty incredible.
Yes.
All right.
Tunnel to Towers.
On the air continues.
TTT.org. TTT.org.
All right. It's the Tommy Show. Stand by. We'll bring you more in just 1 second.
Do you want to be in our live studio audience? If so, email us at audience@loft100studios.com.
Are you gonna do a little ditty? John?
What?
Are you gonna do a little ditty?
I'll do a little ditty the next break.
Okay. Have you guys rehearsed anything, James? JMO, have you rehearsed anything with him? Yeah.
Kind of.
So it's gonna. Oh, there is something. Who wants to hear Tommy sing a song?
No.
Right here. What is? Are you waiting? Or are you going?
Let's do it.
Are we doing? Okay, we're doing it.
Now, hey,
Hey.
I'm not a singer,
Hey. Oh, I thought you were.
so I need you guys to get on your feet, make some noise to drown me out, and if you know the song, you got to sing it.
Okay.
Yes.
Mary, get on your feet, Mary. Get on your feet, everybody. Get on your feet. Yeah. I remember not too long ago, I went to a theater and I saw the Cool in the Game show. said, hey, 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 everybody, what you got to say? Hey, 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 what you got to say? Do it, Jay. Hollywood swinging. Come on, James, do it again. Hollywood swinging. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sully Band. Steve Dillard on trumpet. Trip Spring on sax. Tamoka Jarvis on sax. April Leslie on the big sax. Brian Jordan on guitar. James East on bass guitar. Trace Hodgman on drums. The Sully Band.
Wow.
One more time.
Yeah, James, you're right.
No. Please, please sit down. Wait, Sully, please. Please sit down.
Fantastic. I like how you're stretching your horizons. That would be
Just a 60-second
R&B
deep.
funk groove. Yeah, there you go.
We will
What year
clean
that
up.
was?
We will clean up in post-production.
Oh, smart.
No editing. We're going out. What genre do you think that is? What year? Do you remember the year?
It was, let me guess, 1973. It came out in June of '73. I remember it because I was a little kid, and that song was huge. Shotgun Tom Kelly playing that song. Yeah.
Well done. I'm going to give you another hand.
Wow.
All right. So, what do you think is the biggest moment? That Elvis moment's pretty big, but the biggest moment of your career?
Oh, for me, it has to be the Grand Hatching, Sully.
The Grand Hatching.
The Grand Hatching, June 1979. I had just been fired by KGB. We literally had...
We have something in common there, by the way.
It took a long time.
It's radio business, right? Back in the day. So, I was breaking out on my own, designed my own costume at that time because I had left the station now and I was breaking out on my own. I designed a gigantic styrofoam egg to hatch out of. It's about 8 to 10 feet by 5 feet, and I was going to do it in a pregame ceremony at Jack Murphy Stadium. And on this particular night, just to set up the situation, the station was suing me in court to prevent me from branching out on my own.
Wow.
Yeah, arguing it was their idea, but the courts ruled in my favor and said, no, that's with the chicken.
Yeah, I mean, you created it.
Yeah,
right.
The energy I brought to it, the creativity, that it had become two, had become one, and it was within me.
Yeah.
So on this particular night, I hatched out of a gigantic styrofoam egg in front of a sellout crowd. What's particular?
If I had a nickel.
Yeah. What's special about this particular night was that I had no funds for a defense in court, and I worked out a deal with the Padres, who were averaging 14,000 fans a game back in those days. I worked out a deal with them where I would make $1.50 for every ticket I could sell over 18,000. They didn't think it would do anything. I believed that it did, and 47,000 people turned out, believe it or not. And Saturday morning of that week, they had to write me a check for over $40,000.
That was a big check.
That night in 1979 made me the highest paid so-called athlete in the world, or at least in America. But all that money was used as a defense fund, and I was able to persevere and win in court as a result.
What was the ongoing deal? Of course, I have to ask the business question. What was the ongoing deal after that night?
Oh,
still $1.50?
The Padres were just going to pay me $300 a game. $300 a game to do all their games.
So,
And so it was it was worthwhile. But I asked them, how about something special for my first night back? And I'm going to make this big ceremony. The hype for it, I was able to hype it so much. Even all the network news stations, ABC, NBC, CBS, they all came out to cover it. In fact, the local affiliate, the Channel 10, came out, and Channel 8 at the time televised it live from the stadium. You can't even do that nowadays. But they interrupted local programming to show the grand hatching live from the MRF.
I remember, I was there.
Yeah.
Next, when we come back from the break, I want to hear about injuries. Anybody want to hear about injuries? Yeah, yours. All right, let's hear it. On the air, it's on the air. All of this. Hey there, live from the Los Angeles studios in sunny Carlsbad. On the air, it's on the air. Great to have you along today. So much more.
Jennifer Brekke, Eddie Pappani, Mary Murphy, and the San Diego Chicken.
Wow. So, Mary, tell us about the ballroom dance organization that you're involved with. If people want to get involved, because is it one of those kind of dare I say, sports? Is it an activity that you're always kind of seeking more people to get involved?
Ballroom dancing is a dance sport. There's plenty of people around this country that just take ballroom lessons just to have a good time and enhance their life by, doing something that they can do for forever, basically, and has a lot of amazing benefits. But dance sport, at the highest level, it is a sport. And this next Summer Olympics, breakdancing will be into the next Summer Olympics.
Yes, Eddie.
I missed my calling. You get me about 1984, I'm in. I would have been a bronze medalist at least.
Weren't you running promotions for KCBQ back?
Not quite. But did I bring my little cardboard out and do the knee spins and the whole thing? Yeah, man. Yeah. But I'm a big ballroom fan. You might not think that about me, but I love it. I watch all the different shows.
Oh.
I know the difference between a Vietnamese waltz and a paso doble.
Wow.
I'm a big fan.
A paso doble?
That's right.
Paso doble.
Yeah. It's a bullfighter dance, guys.
That's right.
If I can just add, if you really want to be entertained, go to YouTube and check out the swing dancers on there.
Really?
It is amazing athleticism.
We just lost a big swing icon today.
Really?
And, Buddy Schwimmer.
No kidding.
He is from California, and his son won season 2 of So You Think You Can Dance, Benji Schwimmer.
Wow.
And so he goes back. I mean, he's someone that's elevated West Coast swing around the world.
Wow.
And so we hate to see him say goodbye to him today.
So what are all the young kids doing now? Is it rap? Is it hop? What, like?
Excuse me?
I'm like my mom.
I'm not
hippity
sure
hop?
what
Hey,
dance
I love when you talk about dance on your show, son. But remember, like, for a while we had street dancing came out of nowhere. I think that was back in the mid-'80s maybe, or maybe early 80s. And then all of a sudden you see, pop dancing. And then all of a sudden, are we going to see ballroom dancing on the street corner? Are we going to see swing dancing on the street corner?
Salsa is probably salsa and bachata. Bachata is the fastest growing dance in the world right now. And listen to a specialist over here. He knows his bachata from his salsa.
Tommy, what is bachata?
Bachata is when you get the man and the woman, and they together.
Sounds weird.
And then they dance, and not only do they dance the cultural way that they were brought up to, they dance. It's a very Americana.
Wow.
Nailed it.
Hey, but I do have a question.
Wait. What is it exactly? What is
that
bachata?
close?
Bachata is a Latin dance.
See?
And thank God it came along, because these salsa nights would go with one dance. People will dance salsa from like 8 o'clock until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And it's a super fast dance,
My goodness.
right? So along came bachata, which is a little bit sexier, it's a little bit slower. Okay. It has like a little 3-step
It's always
to
more
it,
of a tango person.
And yeah.
A little tequila involved in between.
Oh, well, yeah. Sangria.
Thank God they invented something to give themselves a break, I can tell you that.
So I have a question. So when
I might have an answer.
When you're invited to a wedding, and it's the reception, is it just like you
I
just
let
take
everybody down.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, I just get out and do my little jam.
That's
You know,
it.
people are waiting for. Of course, Calvin, my significant other of 13 years, he doesn't ballroom dance. But
Wait.
he's a very good dancer, very good social.
Can you
dancer.
teach him like at the last minute? Just follow me. Hold on tight.
Unteachable.
No.
I met Calvin.
Strong frame? No.
He is a very athletic, strong guy.
I tried.
Oh,
He's such
no.
a good dancer, and I couldn't believe it myself when I first started to teach him. And I'd say, "Take your right foot back," and the left one kept going back. And
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
What is happening here? I said, "You really know how to dance. You know the rhythm. You used to sing. You used to rap. You used to break dance. I don't get it. I don't understand it." And he's sweating profusely. I said, "Oh, this isn't going to happen, is it?"
Eddie, when's the last time you danced?
Just regular, like freestyle? No. Or like what kind of dance? The worm?
Like with your wife?
Oh.
He doesn't mean worm.
No, just walking down the hallway.
Yeah, I'll do the worm all the way down the hallway. No big deal. Yeah.
What about you, Jennifer?
Well, I'm definitely kitchen, put on the tunes in the kitchen. The whole family's dancing, embarrassing my children profusely.
Have you been to an event lately where you've had to dance?
This may shock people. I turned 50 this year, and thank you. I know I look great. So we had a little bit of a 50th soiree, and that would probably be the last time. But we had a full DJ. There was no ballroom. We were just getting down.
Doing the bump? Doing the bump?
Yeah, you know.
Who would pay good money to see Eddie get down?
As you say, what the kids were doing. You know.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Tommy, are you a dancer? Are you a home dancer?
No. The last dance that I learned was probably 1974, the bump. But I can't dance.
Are you a singer?
No.
Ouch.
I know you're a singer. It's fantastic.
Funny. Funny.
Jennifer, so talk about this week. Very special week we just had.
Yeah.
Was it more difficult for you folks? Was it harder for you, or just steady stream all the way, 52 weeks a year?
Well, there's so much all year round that's going on, but this particular 9/11, it was the 22nd anniversary. It's hard to believe it's been 22 years, right? But we paid off the mortgages of 22 fallen first responder homes on 9/11. And you know, some of these individuals are 9/11 related illnesses that have passed away, and they have surviving families. We've paid off their mortgages. Others have been died in the line of duty. So, I mean, to be there and to, you know, we have a ribbon cutting ceremony, and we say you no longer have a mortgage, and the gratitude is amazing. But I kind of feel like that's the least we can do. I mean, we're paying off your mortgage, but you also made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. So it's pretty remarkable.
That's great.
Maybe, once again, the website?
T2T.org.
Sure. Much more to come. On that somber note, lest we forget, 9/11. You all remember where you were. I was in a radio studio. Man, great. All right, OTA is on the air. We have much more to come. Stand by. Look at this. Packed house, packed guests. All San Diego legends except for myself and Eddie. But welcome to the rest of the program. By the way,
Jennifer Brekke, Eddie Pappani, Mary Murphy, and Ted Gianolis, the San Diego Chicken.
let's not forget our live studio audience. And Mary, if they want to get involved in the live studio audience, what do they do?
They got to email me at audience@loft100studios.com, and we'll get you in here.
There you go.
Every Wednesday.
Prizes, their food sometimes.
Prizes, food, you never know what you're going to get
All right,
at Loft
very good.
100 Studios.
Kind of like the show. A little bit like the show.
And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think she has a mic on, but Holly Ireland is in the crowd. Holly is a Broadway actress, Broadway performer in New York, and she's here visiting the show.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wait!
No, I'm just a dance mom. I live in Carlsbad, and I'm a dance.
What were you? Anything we would recognize? Alphaba? Wicked?
Yeah, kind of, but I did 6 different shows back before kids. I did Bill Rogers Follies, Fosse, Hello Dolly,
Wow.
Offending Halfway the Forum, and Contact, and Moving Out.
Good for you.
Wow.
It's fun.
Eddie was the ingenue in My Fair Lady. Fantastic.
Classic.
It really was. Speaking of which, I love going to theater here in San Diego. You ever do you see, like, I saw Wicked here. I saw Hamilton here. I saw Tommy in Oklahoma at Junior Theater here.
Wow.
Pretty sure.
Really?
Or was it Andy at your one of the two?
But here's a fun fact about Sully.
No.
He was a theater dude, theater kid, and he was up with people. Did you know that?
I remember that.
Sully was up with people.
Not everybody can wear white zip-up boots.
That's it, buddy.
And a burgundy pair of slacks.
Yeah.
Does anybody even own slacks anymore?
No.
Oh, I had some.
I barely have.
I had some in a vest. Big old flyaway.
Really?
It was up with people.
People.
Getting up with people. Wasn't it a halftime show at a Super Bowl?
All kinds of
Yeah.
them. Come on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's why they
Were you there?
switched.
Don't make me kickball change you, because
My
I
bad. My bad. Okay.
What happened to Up With People?
What happened? Well,
Barry's going,
Sully.
he's a friend of mine. I had no idea. We have to talk about this later. I'm not telling.
Up with people, like, what were the, name like 3 songs you guys would do? Up and Away.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Close to You by the Carpenters.
That one. And another, I'm sure another Bacharach song. I can't remember what it was.
Hollywood Swingin'. Close
No, it
to
wasn't Hollywood. No. What is it?
It's devil's music.
It is. It was a huge audition process, too.
You. Really?
Yeah.
How'd you win?
It's called talent, baby.
We had a.
He knew somebody.
I didn't. We had a good group at Valhalla High School that we were, I forget what it was called. It was something like,
The Vaqueros.
so, I don't think it was Vaqueros. Anyways, but we were pretty good, like national good. And then they plucked like 3 or 4 of us. It was pretty cool. Thanks for bringing that up. And this is what you get. You were
So, Eddie,
Father Esther.
so what is it like 2023? You still have that large P1 following, and you're still on top of the mountain with morning radio. How does that feel today?
It's great. I mean, it's better than being at the bottom of the mountain, I guess. You know, I mean, no, you know, I tell you this, and I'd say it in all honesty. We come in, and it's a 4-person show, and the 4 of us are legitimate friends, and we just hang out. I kind of thought about this the other day. We were a podcast before podcasting was even a thing, because we just talk about stuff that we like to talk about, and hopefully other people like to hear it. And so there's not a lot of the typical radio yucks and things like that. We don't do that. And so it's just different, you know, and people, when they hear it, they go, oh, that's something interesting. And I think that's why we're successful.
And who are the 4?
We got myself, of course, and then we have Sky, who's been my partner for 23 years, longer than I've been married. And then we have Thor, and we have Emily, who's great.
You know, what's interesting is I remember Cliff Albert using you as an example when I was in a 2-person show. And he said, you know, you ever been to a restaurant and you hear 4 people at a table, they're having a conversation. All you want to do is get in front of the conversation. That's what the show does. That's what we need to try to do.
Oh,
and that's exactly what
nice.
you guys do. Because I believe that everyone who listens to you wants to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah. That's sort of our hook, is
Yeah.
that, because we talk about the dumbest stuff. I mean, we just had a debate the other day. What's the difference between crumb cake and coffee cake? And like, people were really passionate about it. I'm like,
phone lines lit up.
yeah. I'm like, what the? Like, who cares? But people do.
Do you guys ever get in a fight? Is there ever
Are you
any?
kidding me?
You get fights?
Oh, yeah.
Now, do you have to act like you're not in a fight when you come back from the break?
Well,
or just
some
let
are
it go?
manufactured, and some are like, whoa, the guy really believes in crumb cake. Like, holy cow! Like, whoa, take it easy. And yeah, you get over stuff real quick. I mean, you move on. It is what it is. It's like brothers and sisters.
Did you guys ever get into a you know?
Tiff?
The Jeff and Joe show going? We're
That was
Helper Boy Randy.
It was right there.
we're fighting now. I love those guys. They're my family.
But did you
Yes.
ever, like, on the break, and then you have to come back, act like everything's fine?
Yes, we went through everything. We were together for 28 years, and we've seen it all together.
It's a family.
Should
It
have
really
seen
is.
should have seen me and Carl DeMaio on Kogo
No, never. Not you two.
for that 2 weeks.
I remember it.
Mary, did you ever get in a fight with the other judges?
You did?
I have.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Defending your position on what somebody should
I'm
score?
here for the tea. Let's go.
No, it was more of the head judge and me. He was reaming me a new one for something I did or said, and it was hard to recover from that. But as soon as the lights come back on, it's like, oh yeah.
It's called happy talk.
One time
What's
I walked off the set.
Wow.
And
That's a
wasn't going
pro.
to come back.
That is a pro. What's next for you? Where can we find you next? Where do we find you next?
Oh, right now, believe it or not, I am in rehab recovery from hip replacement surgery.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So I'm just doing.
And we're getting ready. We're getting ready for 2024, where we celebrate the San Diego Chicken 50 years. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. So
We got to start that right here. Come on.
And then the website where you and Torin, your son, is doing a race in New York. What's the website for that? Do you know the website?
That's t2t.org also, where you can donate.
All right.
Which would be amazing.
There you go. We did it.
On the air. It's on the air. Thanks for coming, everybody. Give yourselves a hand. Come back and see us next time.